The biggest risk investors face in retirement and how to address it. This also out of Think Advisor, dated November 23rd, 2015. Bigger, they say, than interest rate risk, bigger than inflation risk, bigger than equity volatility. Longevity is the biggest risk investors face in retirement. This according to the Investment Management Consultants Association. Longevity is living too long, isn't it? It's outliving the resources that we have. But one other thing comes along with living significantly longer than the actuaries from 50 years ago told us we were going to live by the time we are this age. And that is the fact that healthcare plays a more critical role. Back when people died, it was, I hate to say this, fairly simple. But now that individuals are living a lot longer, taking care of them in their homes becomes a lot more critical. Joining me on the program today, we have Marlynn Bruno from Jacksonville, the Always Best Care owner in Jacksonville. Marlynn, thank you for joining me. This is a huge challenge for all of us here in the United States and around the world as individuals are living significantly longer. You're in the business of helping them live comfortably in their homes, irrespective of what their needs may be. Thank you for joining me on the show. Let's talk about that.
Thank you, Ray, for having me today. Yes, we do try to help people live dignified lives and be cared for in their homes, because the cost of moving into a nursing home or even assisted living is just skyrocketing. We Always Best Care is unique in that they offer a full continuum of care. So we can address and assist those in their homes with any level of care they might need, which might range just from transportation. They no longer feel comfortable driving. We might help them manage their medication, or in the home bathing and dressing and grooming. They might live in an independent apartment, but having to make the jump to assisted living for someone to help them with their laundry or help them with their medications might cost an additional $3,000 to $6,000 a month. And a lot of what we do is try to educate people on ways that they can remain in their home, in the comfort of their own home, and age in place.
You know, what's interesting about that, and I had personal experience with taking my, will be, I guess, 90-year-old father next week out for dinner. I have him a couple of times a week, and we kind of rotate. But he was very lonely after my mother passed 4 years ago, and still is very lonely. And we did find some money from the Veterans Administration. What a blessing that turned out to be. And it's ample for us to actually have someone live in with him full time. If nothing else, it's his ability to now communicate with somebody on an ongoing basis. Not necessarily lending care, but just lending support, because everything else seems to be functioning pretty well. His mind is slipping a little bit. But discuss that, because I think that's so important. A lot of people think, well, you know, mom, dad, grandma, whatever, they're pretty healthy. But boy, when the door slams behind them, they can get doggone lonely.
Well, that subject is very close to my heart, Ray. When I was 17, my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother, who had always been very outgoing and active, suddenly became very isolated, not eating, not wanting to go out and socialize. So I had asked my parents if I could graduate early from high school, which they allowed, and I moved from Tennessee to Florida to live with her. And I was able to get her up and about. She was able to have someone to eat with, because it's no fun eating alone. So food became more of an interest to her. I could help her hydrate, and I actually got her out socializing again, to the point that she started going dancing and met a new husband.
Get out of here. That is so fantastic. God bless. You know, it's amazing. I love that generation, and I love what you're doing and what you're talking about, because not only do we owe it to them morally, etc., but I think what you're saying, and I can hear it in your voice, is you probably got as much out of that as your grandmother got out of it.
Oh, absolutely, because we had always been close and talked on the phone, and, you know, when that ended or was cut back, you know, I became very lonely, and it just made me feel good to be able to live with her and see her smile and cheer her up. And that's a lot of the passion there, and that experience led me to purchase this franchise, Always Best Care. We have wonderful companions that they may just go into a home and play cards with someone, or take them to the beauty parlor, or take them to lunch, but they sit and talk to them, listen to them, and that's so important to the mental and physical health of our nation's seniors, just to feel value and validated in their life, that they're important. You know, I don't want anyone to sit at home alone. We have a wonderful service that's actually free. It's nationwide. It's called Always in Touch, and we have volunteers that will call anyone in the United States up to 5 times a week for free, and it's just a friendly voice to check in, see how that senior is doing, chat about the weather, the grandkids, sports, whatever they like. And that was one of the reasons we went with Always Best Care, just because it reminded me of how just a friendly call or a voice made such a difference in my grandmother's life. And that's what we try to do with those here in Jacksonville, the ones that we care for.
Marlynn Bruno from Jacksonville. She's the Always Best Care owner in that particular city. If you happen to be anywhere across America, by the way, Always Best Care is a nationwide organization. Their number is 855-470-CARE or alwaysbestcare.com. We got about 30 seconds left. You know, leave me with your thoughts on Alzheimer's and what you can do to help those individuals struggling with that, because I see that as a major concern.
This is where having a caregiver in the home is really important, because the Alzheimer's client has their same environment that they're familiar with. They have one-on-one personal care. So that caregiver is familiar with what sets and triggers and frustrates the Alzheimer's clients. They understand when they're sundowning and how they can preempt that with maybe redirecting or recuing them, keeping them, you know, well hydrated and exercised if they want, or just, you know, mentally stimulating them. For the Alzheimer's client, it's very frustrating because every day is different for them, and things are changing that their minds just can't comprehend. So it's real important to have an attendant with them, sometimes 24/7, to keep them safe from wandering out in the street, in the neighborhood, and getting lost.
All right, well, we'll have to leave it there, Marlynn. Thank you so much. Marlynn Bruno from Jacksonville, Always Best Care, 855-470-CARE, 855-470-2273, alwaysbestcare.com. At 17, moved to help take care of her grandmother, found her grandmother a husband, and based on her resume, I think she found herself a husband and a few kids out of it. Thank you, Marlynn. We'll talk again soon. We'll be back.
Don't let the past